Welcome to the 2025 Navy Summit. My name is Pat Host. I'm a senior content developer and reporter with Executive Mosaic, and we're here today with Rich Zaremba. He's SAP's NS2's Chief Content Officer. Rich, how you doing today?
I am great. We had a great summit today. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. Well, we're so happy to hear you. And we're here to talk about CMMC certification today. How is SAP NS2 helping international companies be CMMC certified?
That's a great question. CMMC is really hot right now in the industry, and what we're seeing is a lot of our international partners who have US subsidiaries are trying to figure out how do they deal with these new regulations. So how SAP NS2 is helping customers is trying to figure out where is their control and classified data stored, how do they secure it in the US. We have our own enclaves that meet all the security and compliance requirements, and what does it look like to run your systems like an ERP that have control and classified information. How do they split that data out? How do they store it in NS2? This way they can meet those C3PAO security audits that are required to be CMMC 2.0 level 2 certified.
Why is it important for international companies to be CMMC certified?
Oh, that's a great question. I think it's the same reason why it's important for US-based companies to meet their CMMC level 2 certification, which is the ability to do business with the DoD is now predicated on a DFARS clause that requires you to prove your CMMC level 2 certification. So international businesses, again, that do business with the US government, that have those international subsidiaries, are facing the same rules and regulations that some of our at-home defense contractors have to face. So it is just as important for those customers and those companies that have a base internationally to ensure that their US subsidiaries can compete and bid on all those defense contracts. So it's just as important for international companies as it is for domestic companies.
Interesting. How is SAP NS2 approaching the global contracting landscape?
This one is really an interesting and great question. What we're educating our international customers on is the unique specifics of what it means to be CMMC level 2, what you need to look for in your contracting and your what we call cloud addendums. So in NS2, we're able to meet the NIST 853 to FedRAMP moderate baseline. We deal with FedRAMP equivalency. We speak all the language that they need to understand in our contracts, right? Our subset of GTCs from greater SAP has all those specific language that they can then go point to their C3PAO, to their legal and compliance officers to show that if I do a contract with SAP NS2, here are the GTCs, here are the cloud addendums, here are the DPAs that can help and ensure that I am putting my data in a place that meets all the requirements to house and hold control and classified information, which then helps the global contracting process. And if I can expand a little more, then it becomes incumbent on those international companies to decide, am I, from an ERP perspective, which is what I care about, do I host my financials and my logistics and all my manufacturing information in a single global environment, stored where all that compliance is met? Or is my decision to isolate not only the environments, right, but the network, and have my international subsidiary live separate from my global environment? And either way, our contracting language supports that enablement, whether they decide to go single global or whether they decide to have a subsidiary-based, ERP system.
Tell me about SAP NS2 and your journey to CMMC certification. What was one of your biggest surprises?
So we have a very interesting perspective in SAP NS2 is both we are a CSP, so we host systems for customers who want to take that CMMC journey, but we're also a defense contractor ourselves who are on the journey to meet CMMC level 2. We self-attested, and we're in our way or on our way to meet that C3PAO audit. So one of the biggest things that we found is where is all control and classified information stored? So of course everyone's like, oh no, I don't have control and classified information. But as we got into different details of like, Is it in your email? Yes, it's in my email. Is it in SharePoint? Of course it's in SharePoint. Well, previously you told me you didn't have any uncontrolled classified information. So really the biggest learning for us as we've gone through this is kind of the depth and breadth of where controlled and classified information is across a multitude of systems that we have, which by nature expands the scope of your CMMC audit, because anywhere where there is CMMC or where there is CUI, there is CMMC, right? So they kind of go hand in hand. So our biggest learning is that you think the scope might be narrow, but as you interview and get to the day-to-day with all your end users and your business community, your finance community, your cyber community, that aperture expands and expands and expands, which means your audit expands and expands. So what I would tell everyone who's coming to the international conference is, you may have a myopic view in the beginning, but that aptitude is going to expand, and it's going to be a lot more robust than you initially think it would be.
What would you say to someone coming to SAP NS2 for critical expertise in CMMC certification?
Yeah, as I mentioned previously, we're in a really unique position because we do both hosting CUI data as a CSP, and we've gone through it ourselves as a defense contractor. So one of the things you get when you look to SAP NS2 is, of course, you need all the regulations to meet it, right? Do you have NIST 853? How do you store your data? Do you make sure it doesn't leave US soil? ... So we have all of that. We have a prepackaged for you as, a customer to have. But then you can also leverage our expertise of going through it ourselves with our corporate network, again, as a CSP and our corporate network. And I think there's few vendors that you're looking at to say, I'm going to go take this journey. I need you to come as my CSP to join me on this journey. But then I also have the ability to leverage it because you've gone through it yourselves. And again, I think that's a really niche or unique perspective that we have people, whether it's our CISO, whether it's myself, whether it's any of, our security and cybersecurity and compliance people who are able to give you both the view as the CSP and the view as a customer who has gone through it. And I think as you take the journey, having someone who speaks your language to go on that journey with you as not only a vendor, but as a partner. And I think that's the key thing you're looking at is as a partner who's done both. I think it's invaluable to our customers to have that perspective and to be able to lean on people to say, I've looked at this. What was your challenge with your contract, software, right? Where did that come into scope for you? Did it not come into scope for you? And I think having that ability to have that interaction every day or when you're on that journey provides a benefit that's really intangible in a way to measure it, but absolutely brings a return on investment when you're selecting a vendor and a partner to house your control and classified data. Really, your heartbeat of your organization is your ERP, but then to be able again to leverage that expertise is, I think, so valuable to all our customers.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time to sit down with me today, Rich. This was a fascinating discussion.
It's a pleasure. Thank you very much.